Well, before I start, I want to honor three things. First, I want to honor the people who spoke today. I was kind of worried going last. I thought I'd be like, oh, I'm going to sleep and I'm going to be interested. But everybody's statement really moved me, and it shows how we go through a lot of similar things to the Humanities program. We're like-minded, so that's really touching. I also want to honor folly, because I may be a bit foolish today. I'm a little nervous. You're all, you're all really deep people. So just if I'm foolish, just have fun with it. Think of Erasmus, okay? And on a more serious note, I'd like to honor the indigenous people that have been on this territory long before us settlers and our colonizing ancestors that were on Algonquin land. And I live in Montreal. The Mohawk people have been coming here for a long while for the trading routes and everything. So that being said, I'm going to try to be succinct. Oh, I said yes. So it's 3:56, so I'm going to make sure it's at 4:05 we end. Yeah? 10 minutes?
Yeah, just do your thing.
Do my thing, okay. So humanities education is a tool for solidarity and social change. That's how I've used it in my life. And I'd just like to take you through that. So I'm a climate justice activist, amongst other things. That means I'm fighting for environmental justice, yes, but also indigenous justice, fighting in solidarity with indigenous land defenders across so-called Canada. And, I use a few tools that I've really honed here in this program, and I thank this program for it. So I'll just go over them really quickly. I'm going to talk about the way we read the text, the way we interpret the text, and are able to defend our interpretation with evidence and logic, and also the fact that we got to see social change throughout all this human history, and we got to see the heroes, literary, religious, science, artistic, and to know where I'm standing on the shoulders of giants, right? We can understand this 21st century style, because it seems like for a lot of people, the world doesn't exist before World War I, right? And so, to understand where we are today, we have to understand the past. And also, I just want to, I'll end it with talking about the limits of this program, at least when I was involved, as a sort of Eurocentric program. And at the end, I want to talk about how it's an important place for mentorship and how that's really helped me. So to go back in order, I want to talk to you about reading the text. It was already mentioned today. A lot of other schools do not go to the primary sources, do not really engage with that. As other people said, you were encouraged to look at secondary, third sources, just like little summaries. On this program, we struggle with the ideas, and that struggle is encouraged. And it's better to be slightly off and slightly naive, but true to the interpretation of text, than just going and reading the secondary interpretation, or just taking the notes of whatever Professor Laird said. And although I heard some people have used that really well, because he explains really well, so you don't have to actually read the book. That's another thing. No, I read though. I'm talking about because like I said, I read the text, and so today as an activist, how does that work? Well, I read the text. My colleague here from my class, Evan, is the editor of the Globe and Mail, online editor, not the guru editor on top, but telling Margaret Went what to write or not. But no, just the catchy titles. And so reading the journalism, and not just the fallen setting sun industry of official journalism, but like the blogs and the protests going on, our meme prime minister, reading all these texts, these discourses, to really sit with them and read them, what is being said here, and then engage in them, and then coming at it with, okay, this is my interpretation of your text, and this is my argument of why it's right, why it's wrong, why it's unjust, why it's just, and as a climate justice activist, I've been doing that, but in the spirit of the praise of folly, and in this little treatise, or this writing here, Erasmus back 500 years ago or so, he was saying how art is the great way to convince people, give people a laugh, and get your message across. So that's what I've been doing through music, putting my arguments through music. And yeah, engaging in these big ideas, justice, okay? Justice, what is justice? When I say the words indigenous justice, does it ring true in you? Or is there a part of you that's like, that's not justice, right? What part of Canada are you living on? Where are you on the spectrum? It doesn't really matter. In this program, you get to at least understand that conversation, what's going on. And the problem, honestly, with a lot of people in the social justice movement and on the whatever their opponents may be, whether you call that the white supremacist state or Stephen Harper, whatever you want, but whatever you call that, we are next to the Tory squad, Tory quad here in the Humanities, so there is a bit of that tendency here. I don't mean to offend anybody. But the point is, we can understand if we're going to engage in argument and ideas in a democracy in the style of Plato and Aristotle and all the Greek crew, really just talking, negotiating with ideas and referring to actual things and to thinking about ideals, not just being sophists. This is something that we learn in this program. Unfortunately, in the social justice movement and in politics, we have people who are just pure sophists, or even worse, they don't even understand argument. And they'll just put things together, images like a Facebook feed, and that's my argument. No, it's not. But anyways. So I don't want to fire shots. I want to just show that our fire is important and how it keeps us warm. And the social justice movement, I've seen heroes in the Humanities program, starting with Gilgamesh, right? And some of you might know the song I sang, Gilgamesh, Gilgamesh. It's a little song I did. These heroes in this program, it's important to see where humanities heroes are, because again, we're often stuck in everything happened after, starting after World War I. It's no, that goes way deeper than that. And so, and not under not only political heroes, but all sorts of heroes. We got to see, to understand Galileo in my history of science course with Professor Laird, to understand that he actually revolutionized, literally the world and the universe. Seeing heroes like that, and we're still in that time today to understand how we can shift this carbon-based model, this neo-colonial, ecocidal, genocidal model, right? We need to do a Galileo, right? And so to understand these revolutions in society, you have to know not just 20th century history, you got to go back. And that's what I love about this program. And I'm always inspired by all these different people. And my big hero in this program, Noel Salmon, he introduced me again. I knew him before, but the Buddha, cool guy, 500 BC, right? And started this whole thing called Buddhism. But yeah, and what really touched me is this idea that you come in a place of privilege and you got to break out of that plastic bubble, and you got to go out and try and end human suffering, And for me, I learned that when I trained as a teacher, and I started teaching in high schools. I was teaching for 3-4 years, and then Occupy Montreal happened. And then, I'm not the Buddha or anything, but I'm saying it's an inspiration that... Hold on. I'm humble, I swear. But I'm just saying the idea, wait, there's more to it than this. There's people suffering. I gotta go join. And so instead of teaching history courses, I wanted to change the course of history. And I was a bit naive at the time. That's fine. Okay, but the point is, as I got accustomed to this movement, I get into the social justice movement. I'm a bit more nuanced now, and I'm always constantly using nuance and argument and reading the text that I learned in this program. And so I'm very thankful to that. Now, I just want to say, as I sort of alluded to at the start, with the whole Tory quad thing, that this program is a Eurocentric program. Let's be real, right? Some would even argue. Some people on the spectrum of social justice would say it's a white supremacist program now. I'm not going to go that far, but other programs like this have been considered because sort of a very old school. And where are the decolonized? Where is the indigenous voices? Where is, why didn't you read Frantz Fanon? So there's a lot of things that might have been missing, but I was just talking with Noel Salmon, and recently he said that in the past 5 years he has an integrated indigenous culture, an indigenous spirituality in the first year, and I think that's amazing. And that's actually, it sort of made me think as a society, since I don't know more happened in Occupy, we sort of shifted. And so in a way, my experience with what the humanities was, I think, is different because Canada, so-called Canada, is different today. And I'm glad to see that humanities is going in that without throwing out the whole great canon. Don't worry, hold on to your Plato. It's fine, we won't throw them away. Okay? So, yeah, and just to sort of end there with the mentorship. The mentors I had in this program were amazing. I was kidding around about Professor Laird, but like, he taught me so much about being really precise about how I write, and his colleague, where are you, Greg?
I'm here.
Greg, hiding behind his baby. You know, I remember we went to Mike's place. I was like, why did I get a B? And I'm like, didn't you like my joke here? Doesn't it? It's like, it's not funny. I'm like, what? This is amateur. He's like, no, Dad. Like, let me show you. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay. But having profs like that are not afraid to do that, there's not a lot of universities, not a lot of programs will do that, be like, wrong. You know? And that's probably what's missing from a lot of education, like I've taught, and like it's the sort of thing like, everybody's right. You know? But and bringing this back to social justice, like I have to be careful because I have allies, you know, it's politics. I'm not going to go on Facebook and be like, that argument is wrong, you know, and here's why. If they're my ally, I'll call them and maybe talk to them, but if they don't share this sort of openness that I had in the humanities, I may not want to approach them because people come from different schools, and I respect that for all sorts of reasons around intersectional politics and my position where I am. I will humbly step back and just keep it to myself and digest that. But the point is, this, as an activist, trying to fight for this better world, trying to make sure that, you know, your kids and your great-grandkids are going to be able to drink local water, are not going to have to go through too much climate chaos. You know, I have been trying my best to work with argument, through a little bit of the old folly, and with the mentorship, I want to give a special thanks to the one who organized all of this. A round of applause for Kim Stratton. Kim Stratton, I mean, her and I, we had a connection, and this is my last note for any of you going on, thinking about all the things you need in your little war chest, I mean, to go on the job market after. Please have a close relationship with 1, 2, or 3 of your professors, not just because they're cool and they will help you with your spiritual life and give parenting advice, because I just had a baby recently, and she gave me lots of great advice, but to help you get through those steps, to help you with those reference letters, to help you when you're like, this career, that career, all these things, like, or even just to talk, because these ideas, as you're seeing here, we heard today, this is not just some little thing we learn how to do to impress people or make money. This is for our souls, this is for our society, for our democracy, and this is even to survive, right? Because we are all dealing with this existential angst, and this program gives us the tools to get through that and to go on the field, and in my case, be a bit of a pragmatic and not get lost in cynicism and pessimism and go out there and fight for climate justice and indigenous justice as an ally. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you very much, and thank you very much to all of you for being part of this battle of narratives. And I want to see you again in 10 years when we do the 30th anniversary. Right?